Hey there, everybody. It is the SideQuest Live for June 18th, 2019. I am Dolly Domofsky, joining this beautiful, beautiful cast of wonderful individuals. As usual, Aaron Scratty Bones Kelly.
Hey, what's going on?
All right. Also joining me, making his wild return, is Sam Dixon.
Sam.
Hello, friends. Do I really make wild returns? They're just kind of like normal returns. Like, oh, hey, the guy that's on every 2 out of 3 podcasts is here again.
I like saying wild returns. It makes you sound that much more, makes it more of an event when you're on.
It is. Anyone with Sam is an event.
Exactly. And that lovely voice you're hearing is Katie. Katie Goodman is back as well.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Welcome, my dearest friends. It's so good to have you all together again. This is the gang that you've all been waiting for to hear about games, talk about games and other game stuff.
I'll tell you what I've been waiting to hear.
What's that?
I've been waiting to hear about points.
Points?
Yes.
Points. E3
Last time I
points.
heard I was in the lead. I honestly didn't expect that to happen.
So, as y'all remember, this is the same crew that was with us when we did our E3 prediction podcast. And right here, I have the can you see it? These are the final results. So, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to read through the results here real quick and who got how many points, and announce the winner at the end, and that winner will get a shirt, a SideQuesting T-shirt. So,
there's a prize? I didn't even know that was a thing.
I decided we'll do a prize, and if I win the prize, I get to ship it to myself, which is kind of the cool thing. If I don't win the prize, then that would suck.
Well, if there was a prize, I would have actually picked anything other than Final Fantasy predictions.
Don't worry, that happened with Sam, and it was all good. I had Watch Dogs 3, Halo 1 on Switch. Microsoft would announce or reveal something about their next-gen consoles, and we'd get a Nintendo game on Xbox. I got Watch Dogs 3, a.k.a. Watch Dogs Legion, and Microsoft talking about their next-gen console. So that's 2 points for me. Sam had Nintendo VR Labo stuff, some Dishonored new content, Mario Kart content, or a brand new racing game. And then somebody will announce and drop a game that day. It'll be available now. You got that one, which was the 1 point there.
I'm willing to argue that Deathloop is more Dishonored content, but that's fine.
Yeah. Katie, you had the announcement of a new Nintendo Switch, new Cyberpunk release date, the next-gen console reveal or announcement, and then a Halo trilogy. You got correct, did not get the Nintendo Switch. You got the Cyberpunk release date. You got the Microsoft next-gen console. And technically, on a technicality, the Halo trilogy or the Master Chief collection on Game Pass Ultimate and all that fun stuff, they did make a point about that. So you got 3 points.
Thank you for giving me that one. It's like, well, they didn't really announce the trilogy. They announced the new Halo, but yeah.
Aaron, you had Final Fantasy VII release date.
Yep.
You had a Final Fantasy VIII remake.
Yep.
Or remaster. You had Bad Company 3, and then you had, for your big one, you had the next big Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy 16. You got the 7 release date and the Final Fantasy 8 remake. So you got 2 points.
Yeah.
Which means the winner is Sam. Just kidding. The winner is Katie.
It's like, well, that makes sense.
Congrats, Katie.
Awesome.
You got
Thank
the
you.
most points. You actually kind of played it safe, and you got it.
I did.
It's funny because it wasn't a wild announcement E3 this year, but because we knew kind of a lot of the stuff that was going in. But Aaron and I kind of spoke about our, what we felt about E3. But I'm curious to hear what you and Sam felt about E3. Let's start with you, Katie. How did you feel E3 went this year?
When I was watching the press releases, as it normally happens, I got really excited about everything they were announcing because I just kind of built into those things.
Pre-order.
I got it. I wrote down all these dates and everything. And then after I kind of stepped back, I was like, honestly, it didn't really seem like anything that we didn't already know. in some ways. Obviously, more specifics in terms of release dates, things like that. I was kind of looking more forward to learning more about the Final Fantasy remake, but for 7. But I'm a little worried because it's still limited to Midgard and what that means in terms of content and what that can mean in terms of the release dates of future chapters of it, because it's such a huge game.
Release dates, they don't even know how many are going to be in the series.
Yeah.
It's going to be an incomplete game. Like,
I'm gonna guess it'll be 3 discs or 3 games.
Yeah.
But I really do think it all depends on this first one.
Do you honestly think we're making it out of Midgar in this first one? That's
No.
my real question.
No.
I know.
That's the end.
That's what they said, but that's what they said. I don't think this game ends with Midgar ending. Like I think
I'll tell you
Yeah.
exactly how this game ends. This game ends with you going off the ramp on that motorcycle where you land outside of Midgar and it cuts to credits.
and then nothing.
And
And then they'll
nothing.
never make the next one. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I was intrigued at first, and there were a couple titles that I'm excited about. But other than that, it wasn't a big reveal to me, at least. So a little boring in the end.
I like what they did with the kind of the battle gameplay, the battle mechanic, because turn-based is great for those of us who love classic JRPGs, the turn-based JRPGs, the active time battle stuff, and they've mixed that with action battles in this one, and I think that actually kind of works well because you still get those active time battle moments.
Yeah, and you can combine the combat either way, which is nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say I really wasn't interested at all in Final Fantasy VII, but that combat system does look at least better than what they had in the last Final Fantasy game, which wasn't great, and I think even improves on something like the Kingdom Hearts games, where those just kind of feel like you're holding down square for most of it. Like this actually seems like you have active in strategy, where that's what they've been trying to do, but this looks like it's close. But we'll see.
Okay. I kind of wish a few of us were talking about this the other day. I kind of wish that the Avengers game used that same combat as Final Fantasy VII, because that was I think there are some issues with that game. The Destiny of Avengers.
I feel like it's gonna end up being like Anthem in some ways. It's just people are gonna be excited about it, and then
yeah, they both begin with A, and I think they have the same amount of letters or something. What else? Anything else from the show that got you excited or disappointed?
So Cyberpunk, I'm already really excited about that, and having the release date sooner than anticipated has me kind of concerned and also happy at the same time. Ghostwire Tokyo looks pretty cool. I'm kind of excited to just see what genre that is, and the fact that like the Resident Evil creator is kind of coming back. Also, what's her face was adorable during the press conference.
Oh yeah, I forget her name.
Her name.
She was wonderful.
So,
yeah.
Borderlands 3, but again, we knew about that before E3. So it was like things that I knew about before E3, that E3 was kind of like, hey, just remember that this is a thing. And I was like, oh, cool, yeah. So Fire Emblem, I'm pumped about too on the Switch. So I have to get a Switch before July 27th.
I love the Fire Emblem games.
Yeah. So, and Gods and Monsters actually looked pretty cool. I've been playing a lot of Assassin's Creed Odyssey lately. And so I look forward to see what the makers of that game create next for Ubisoft.
Yeah, where they're just kind of let loose, just have fun and do something kind of crazy. And
yeah,
that's coming 2020. I still think that there's going to be some sort of Kid Icarus content with that on this.
It looks. I mean, the artwork and everything looks like it. I would definitely call for it.
Cool.
So,
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, good. Sam, what about you? What did you find exciting or disappointing about the show?
Well, first, disappointing, and I'm sure it's been talked about to death, is the fact that everything felt like we were just seeing CGI trailers of games. We weren't really seeing the real gameplay, and I guess because of that, I just super appreciated any time we were seeing that actual gameplay. And the one company that was doing that for almost everything they wanted to talk about was Nintendo. And I think that they brought a lineup of games that if you're not a Nintendo fan, those games could easily give a lot of people something else to play than the game that brings them there. If Smash is the game that brings you to Nintendo, this year you have Luigi's Mansion, which is a single player experience that also can be played entirely through co-op, and then also has 8-player multiplayer experiences of both competitive and cooperative, which sound great. And they showed footage of all of the single player stuff. I'm not sure if they showed the actual 4 to 8 player multiplayer on Treehouse. Animal Crossing looks great. And they delayed the game, and instead of being like, we're sorry, we're delaying it, and here's some footage, cool, they spent like an hour of it on the Treehouse, actually like going through and showing a lot of things that they're planning on changing. And then there's games like Astral Chain, which are like super sort of niche games that might be a hard sell because it just looks like anime. I think somebody on Giant Bomb said this weekend about how like Dark Souls trailers and like I forget exactly what games they were referencing, but pretty much every anime game, all the trailers are just a bunch of really stoic nonsense being talked in the background and action stuff happening over top. And I felt like that's what Astral Chain was kind of projecting, but they actually took the time to kind of show you what both the actual experience of playing that game would be and then what sort of like high level combat would be like. So I don't know. I think Nintendo really nailed it in terms of showing games on the show floor. There was some other stuff that looks interesting, like a lot of stuff that I want to know more about, right? But they didn't really show anything, like Deathloop. Since we brought it up before, like Dishonored was great, Prey is great. Would love to get my hands or would love to have seen what kind of that is. Like it looks like Dishonored. Like they said it wasn't Dishonored, but it looks like Dishonored, so that's all I have to go off at this point. And I know that's the easy sell of like, hey, you loved our games before. Well, here's a game that vaguely looks like our game. Get ready for it next year when we have more to talk about.
Hashtag marketing.
And like I get it, but I mean, all the press conferences had their own highs and lows, I feel, right? And it seems like now if you're a fan of a specific brand, that's only going to get better for you. Ubisoft talked about their Uplay membership. I'm sure Bethesda's right around the corner. We're looking at something like that. Square Enix talked about wanting to do their own. We're entering a weird place now where it seems like everybody's trying to be the Netflix of their own publishing.
Yep.
And you have somebody like Microsoft that's making an aggressive step to not only on like consoles, but then also in the PC market, offer Game Pass and offer these services. So yeah, it's always like a reset for when we're at E3. I feel like it's like, let's look at what we've been making bad choices in for the past year. And then this is what we're going to pitch you for the next year. And next E3 is going to roll around and, Ubisoft's going to roll out its thing. EA is going to roll out their service to PlayStation. And next year is when we learn if there's just too many players in that market or if no one's willing to cut deals with each other to bring other content to those services. So I don't know. In some ways, it's cool. Like cross-play finally seems like a thing. Destiny 2 is getting cross-save, if not cross-play at some point. Microsoft and Nintendo seem to be super friendly, which we sort of knew going in, but now it just kind of backs that up. So yeah, I thought this E3 was a cool E3 from a sort of like business understanding and like kind of knowing like this is sort of a stall year. It's like this is a building year for sports, but like we don't know what we're building to, I guess. And I feel like neither do they at this point. And it's great. I think it showed that this industry has a lot of energy, but at the same time, like we are so on hold for the next 9 months or so.
It's actually a really good way to look at it. It's not just the content being released, but how the relations of the industry is changing. So, and the way that games are done themselves. One thing that I thought that was like an interesting trend that I didn't really see coming this E3 was the like streaming stuff, like the Google Strata and everything. How did you guys feel about that?
I'm partly excited, partly brushing it off, and I'll tell you why. I'm excited because being able to open up gaming to anybody who doesn't have a high-powered PC, or a gaming device. I think that's fantastic. That's what the Wii did. Remember, the Wii kind of brought whole new gamers in a long time ago. And what holds people back these days is that you just can't do it without having a high-powered PC. You can't play the latest games. Well, Stadia and xCloud and everything else that's coming out there can do that. And it actually, so you have the opportunity to bring a lot of these games like Doom Eternal and Halo and so on to folks that normally wouldn't be able to. Now, is it a great big game changer in the industry? I actually still I don't know because someone said, "Oh, wouldn't it be the Netflix of games, and wouldn't it be the Spotify of video games?" And I heard someone put it really well that if it is, it's actually really shitty for developers because anybody that has music up on Spotify or any of the streaming services knows you get pennies for having your stuff streamed instead of actual hard cash from the someone buying your games. And so I have buddies who have their stuff up on streaming and they make hardly any money and they get tons of plays. You have folks that can have 1 million to 2 million listens and maybe make $11 or something crazy like that. And that's just because of what those networks are like. And gaming could potentially fall into that type of thing. I mean, it's happening with video too, and you really do need people to still buy games. And now, if this is a way to get folks to buy games that they normally wouldn't play because they can just stream a demo or stream a game really quick for free at any point, I think that's really cool. And some of the stuff that Google mentioned about what Stadia can do, I think is, if you're seeing your favorite streamer play, you can hit the play button and you jump in with them at that exact same spot. I think there's some really cool ideas of technology. I don't think it's all going to be cooked in time for release, but I still like to be offline in a cabin in the woods. And I mean, look, poor Aaron, right? We've talked about this at length with Aaron. He wouldn't be able to get this to work.
No.
So there's still a long way to go before our infrastructure is up. And
unless they come out and they're like, "Oh yeah, this will stream flawlessly on a 56 KB modem," like there's way too many people that this just doesn't work for.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
what about you? What do you get? What the rest of you guys think?
Well, they haven't proved its worth, right? Like, I just don't think that they've made a statement of why I would want this service over another sort of gaming service or system. Like, their big launch title is Destiny 2. And I like Destiny 2, but like that, if that's like what you're using to hard sell your platform, like that seems kind of weird. Especially since that is definitely the worst way to experience that game in terms of input latency and connection to everybody else.
And player base.
Yeah, player base, but I would assume that they're going to work out. It seems like Destiny 2 is going to be cross-play at some point if they can make it work.
They came out and said that it won't be. For the Stadia version is like its own little thing. So unless going forward, they're going to try and integrate them at some point. If you play on Stadia, you're not playing with anybody from any of the other.
Not even PC.
Not even PC. It's like you have the PC player base, and then you have the Stadia player base.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I think it's going to be like that for a while until they figure it out.
And who knows, like maybe by week 1 they have what is essentially their, Halo Combat Evolved, and it launches their platform and goes whatever. But the thing I'm more worried about in terms of Stadia is you're going to see people that are like, oh, Timmy loves video games, I'm going to buy him the Stadia thing. And then, they get it locally and it either goes over a bandwidth cap because they didn't understand that it sucks that much data to run. Or that they just cannot run it in there, or they don't, they have a worse experience than their friend does with their Nintendo. So why wouldn't they just own a Nintendo instead of the dumb Google controller that doesn't work? I just don't think that they've currently positioned that a way to sell it to people that want to play video games and can see that this controller will play everything they want on their TV. They're doing an okay job selling it to anybody that's like sort of in our lane that pays attention to stuff and understands it. But I don't know, like a lot of game consoles get sold to people that have no interest in what the game industry is and just, I want to play this because I like the Madden, I like Call of Duty, I like playing whatever with my friends. And
Madden.
I get whatever I want at the store just whenever I want to play it because my friends are playing it. I just don't think Stadia can create itself like this and be able to sell it in a way that makes sense to those consumers. And that's fine. And good luck to them. But I think Phil Spencer had said for the xCloud stuff that they are positioning that as a way that's just in this, like, aside to what is their market. Like, they want to be able to give their players on their platforms as many different ways and as many as many locations as possible to play Xbox and Microsoft content. And streaming is one way that they can make that a possibility for their consumers. So it'll always be an availability for them, but it's not going to be their main focus. And I think that's where streaming at least is going to have to sit for the next couple years until we have infrastructure in place for people. Who knows when that's going to be? Google's hoping it's going to be soon, and it might be. And I hope it is, because my internet sucks.
It'd be great if only there was a tech company out there that had the money and the resources to make that infrastructure a reality.
To invest in the infrastructure.
Think of anybody.
And that's the big thing, right? Is Google really doing this about gaming, or is Google doing this as a backdoor way to set up like servers everywhere and make like their internet better and all types of stuff? Who knows if their heart is fully in gaming, and we'll have to see, and hopefully it is. But I just don't think that they have positioned themselves in a way that interests a normal consumer right now.
I mean,
I highly doubt their heart is in gaming.
I'll tell you what I know about Google. They got a really good search engine. They got a video platform where they apparently love racists, and they constantly start and then abandon projects for seemingly no external reason, and you can't trust them to ever follow anything through.
Is Stadia the next Google Glass, you think?
Yeah, it might be. It might be.
Man, I would buy a Google Glass in a heartbeat, though.
I want that world so badly.
Yeah.
I just remember that the year that the demo was like released, it was the year that my first E3, and they were all walking around. Like a bunch of people had them on the show floor, so it was kind of creepy because
remember.
You didn't, because you didn't know what they were watching or looking at. I was like, okay.
Well, there was the thing I thought about with Google Glass was there was this story that happened in Germany, I think, like a year or two before like all of those AR glasses happened, where there was a person who was like the first recipient of like cybernetic eye technology. They were blind and they had like cameras. I don't know the science behind it, but they essentially had like cameras that were wired into their optical nerves, and they could see as if you were looking through a camera. And they were like at a McDonald's, and a bunch of people in that McDonald's thought they were being recorded and beat the shit out of them and broke their eyes.
Oh my god!
What?
Yeah. Just totally jumped this person and like re-blinded them, and it's like, yeah, I bet that would happen a lot with Google Glass, and then like all of a sudden like AR glasses weren't a thing anymore. So it's like, well, I guess we dodged that bullet for now.
I just like imagine a bunch of dudes at E3 watching porn while they were walking around.
I listened to some tech podcast where they were talking to. They had a bunch of journalists on there and talking about Google Glass, and one of the guys was waiting in line at some event. And the guy in front of him happened to have Google Glass on. He said, "Oh, I work for this outlet. I'd love to take a look at the Google Glass and tell me what you think about it." And I said, "Yeah, sure." So he hands him the Google Glass. Guy puts it on. He's like, "How do you function?" He goes, "Well, all you do is like swipe and tap and all that stuff." Said, okay. He swipes, and it goes to a page, like a photo gallery of just porn. And
nice.
So, all right, understand what's going to be what they're going to use.
Yep, this is what incognito browser's for.
Yeah, right, exactly. So yeah, will Stadia go the route of Google Glass? Google tends to treat all of their new products as if they're in beta until they start turning a real profit. And even like wasn't Gmail in beta up until like 2 or 3 years ago or something still like that. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Stadia is sort of in beta for all. I know Tom picked one up. Right, Tom? Right. He ordered one. So he's all excited about it. And I'm like, I mean, then again, a bunch of folks got onto the Ouya hype train, and a bunch of folks got onto the OnLive hype train. And it feels just like the next one of those until it actually gets solved. That's
that motherfucker's in the Discord right now. He's in the Discord.
He's in there, and he's listening to us, that jerk. But I will say this, that's why you need something like Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which that deal they announced, I don't even freaking play Xbox games or PC games, but for $1 to get Game Pass Ultimate, I'm going to extend my Xbox Live for the next 2 years total. So I'll pay an extra $100, get that extended, and then tack on $1, and I get everything for free, basically. So I don't know if you guys
it's a
saw
great
that
deal.
deal.
And plus, it's on Xbox and it's on PC. Like you
Yeah.
get both of them. So, and then you get Xbox Live, which basically like the price difference between just paying for Xbox Live and getting the Game Pass along with that is awesome.
Oh, it's fantastic, and I'm totally digging it. Yep. So I'll be doing that and be able to maybe get some time to play some of these other amazing games that are on this list here. But everything is coming like day and date with Game Pass, and that's what you want this service to be, and that's what Microsoft really pushed for at the show. I think, JJ and Scratty and I were kind of joking around while we were watching the live cast of the Xbox. They didn't show off a physical next gen console, but they revealed their plans, which was you don't need a console anymore to play all of these hot games day and date and have great visuals. And so, like the Outer World looked fantastic. And that, day and date. You have all these other games popping. Halo Infinite is going to be day and date. And so, I think that's a fantastic deal, and it shows the services side of Microsoft. I think is really doing things smartly, and I think that's one way to entice folks to walk into a streaming service because you do already offer all of the other content that they want. So I can see Microsoft having. They have that advantage over Google. Google can have better tech by far. For all I know, they do. But Microsoft already has the games. You already know what you're getting, and they can just easily say, "Oh, you have the Game Pass Ultimate for an extra $2 a month. We're gonna throw in xCloud."
Yeah.
And everyone says, "Done for sure, no problem. I'll pay $17 a month or whatever that's gonna be, and you can count me in."
It kind of follows along with like the trend of like Microsoft successes as well. It's like initially, like after Xbox One came out, they were trying to come out with like original IPs that were Xbox exclusives to compete with PlayStation. And when that didn't go so well for them, like they've always done well with Xbox Live. That was why I got an Xbox when they first came out. Like the online software, how it connected with people, how you could play online was like the best console experience out there. And when the Xbox 360 came out, that was tenfold what the Xbox could do. So, and even though Sony tried to do online multiplayer, and you could do it through it pretty well, it would just never beat what Xbox could do with that. And so maybe Microsoft was like, okay, like our trend has been well in like connectivity and online. And it's just like this E3 kind of, they're carrying that trend forward. They're not competing with Sony in terms of like IPs anymore. They're just competing in terms of like industry trends.
Exactly. Yeah, good. That's good. I'm glad you guys, those are excellent E3 thoughts. And I think, whenever we get Tom on here, we'll have him kind of tell us about the stuff that he actually got to play. But I'm actually way more excited about next year's E3 than I thought I was going to be. I thought I was kind of done with E3, but I'm going to be booking those June 9th through the 12th dates or whatever that is, 9th through the 11th, because we're going to get the next Xbox, we're going to get that next PlayStation, we're going to get the next Halo, we're going to get, all these new games, and it's going to be pretty freaking cool.
Because like the most recent, and it wasn't recent at all anymore at this point, but like the best E3 to date for me was when they released the Xbox One and the PS4 there. It was awesome. Yeah,
these big kind of release, the console release things are those years are fantastic. I will say to Sam, your point, you're kind of getting at, I think Nintendo did a phenomenal job at E3 this year. I actually wasn't, I think even posted in Discord, I wasn't expecting a ton only because we sort of knew what was coming down the pipeline. But the content that they're showing and the commitments they're making, they're in the middle of their console generation. They're the top selling gaming device or console on the planet, right? There are more people buy Switches than anything else. Yeah, it's underpowered. The services are definitely not there yet. But it seems like every game that comes out for it feels like it's top notch. Even the ports, though the ports have issues here and there, Assassin's Creed 3, it's the perfect form factor for what people kind of want to do right now in this mid-cycle, this midpoint of a gaming cycle. So they're hitting their stride right now, and even though the Switch has only been around for 2 years, I think 2020 is going to be. I mean, I think it's going to be massive this year for Nintendo.
Has the Switch only been around for 2 years?
2 year March 2017.
Yeah.
I mean, at 2020, and we'll have to do like a future prediction show. But at 2020, you're potentially getting Zelda, potentially getting Metroid. But you're gonna have Animal Crossing next year. We know there's a Pikmin game out. We know they're working on Splatoon 3. We know, there's got to be a new Mario game they're working on. So 2020 could be, an even bigger year than they've had yet. So
that Final Fantasy VIII remake too looks pretty great.
That Final Fantasy VIII remake is later this year, and that's going to be. I'm excited about that. I know Aaron he willed that into existence.
Also, the way they revealed Banjo-Kazooie was pretty genius. I was a fan of that.
So so there's Smash Brothers is doing fantastic. I think Nintendo's got something. They're hitting the sweet spot right now.
I got a question for you guys. This was posed to a friend of mine. Do you think, or can you think of any other celebrity on the face of the planet that could have elicited as much of a positive reaction as Keanu Reeves showing up for Cyberpunk did? Is there any celebrity in game combination that if they would just walk out on stage, the crowd would have been as nuts as they were for Keanu Reeves?
I don't know. I don't think so. It was the right time for Keanu Reeves because everyone loves the John Wick films. Bill and Ted is being made, and he just seems like a totally genuine dude, and I don't think so. I think people are in love with Keanu Reeves right now, rightfully so. He's astonishingly attractive, but he's just a good dude, and so I don't think any other celebrity. I mean, The Rock has been on the stage, I think, before at E3, and actually, The Rock was on stage when the original Xbox debuted. So there have been, every other actor has been out there, and so yeah, I don't think so. Anybody think anything different or?
No, absolutely not.
I've been trying to think the whole time. Can't think of.
Yeah, I can't.
No, I'm just like.
My friend's suggestion was Robert Downey Jr. showing up for that Iron Man game if it was actually him in it. But even then, I said, no, probably not. Like,
no, not the same as Keanu.
Maybe Chris Evans, only because he wrapped he's also a huge fan favorite right now because of all the work in the time that he put in.
He also just seems like a generally good guy. Not that Robert Downey Jr. doesn't either, but he has a persona of being that way. And so does Keanu. Keanu plays with puppies. So
I think part of the issue is any actor that you would associate with a game immediately doesn't work. So none of the Avengers showing up for the Avengers game don't work because you go, yeah, obviously.
Yeah,
but nobody expected Keanu Reeves to be in Cyberpunk, so him just rolling out and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm in this game and it's photorealistic and I'm with you the whole time." It's like, holy shit!
I think
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think my boyfriend was watching the trailer and I was kind of doing something else in another room, and I just hear him screaming. He's like, "Cat, come here!" And I was like, "Oh my god! Did someone die? Something horrible happened." And it was when Keanu showed up on the end. And I was like, "Is that?" I mean, it shocked me too, but I was like, "Oh my god!"
And of course, his character's name is John.
John, exactly. That's the only character he played. No, but I think what not to go off too much of a tangent on Keanu, but he's sort of this he's a celebrity that's transitioned super well into meme and YouTube culture because all the promotion they did for John Wick showed him doing these insane gun stunts and the training for that, and then the Matrix stuff is still a meme, and he is accepting of all of these, and he does a great job, putting himself out there for stuff that doesn't hit the mass media, and I think that's why people kind of like it. He really does stuff for our generation, I guess. So
yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
I want to talk about Keanu some more.
Yeah, don't we all? Welcome to the side questing, the Keanu questing podcast.
Keanu cast.
Keanu cast.
Let's talk about what we've been playing, and then we'll get into just a couple news bullets here. What do y'all play? Let's start with Katie. Katie, what are you playing?
I am playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I'm playing Divinity Original Sin 2.
Yeah.
Ooh. So those are the two things. We have a Monday weekly session going on with it, and we're finally in Act 2. It took us weeks to get out of Act 1. But
how do you feel about Baldur's Gate 3?
Oh my god. Okay, that was actually, I can't even believe I forgot about that. I'm super pumped about that. The trailer was really gruesome, and so I kind of wanted to forget it a little bit.
That man turned into an illithid.
He did, and that was very graphic. But yeah, no, I'm super pumped for Baldur's Gate. The last one I played was Baldur's Gate 2: Dark Alliance, and I was obsessed with that game on the original Xbox.
Cool.
So the lore and everything, and I feel like the makers of Divinity will do a really good job with that genre because they've done such a good job with Divinity. Like the combat, the elements of like character creation and everything, and the story, just like the writing in general, even for side quests. It reminds me a lot of The Witcher. In terms of like the attention to detail with it. So I'm really enjoying that. Really enjoying Odyssey as well. To be honest, I didn't really think I would enjoy Assassin's Creed.
I remember you brought it up in the in the chat in our Discord, and you've been. It's good to hear that you've been into that. That's the one Assassin's Creed that might pull me back into the into the series.
It plays really differently. Obviously, there are similar elements in terms of like assassinating people, but the combat still has a lot of variations depending on the kind of the different class that you choose, whether you're like a hunter, which is like an archer, or you can be an assassin, or you can be a warrior. And the Greek mythology is awesome. I actually spent a lot of time yesterday researching the Peloponnesian War because I was really interested. I was like, I don't know if I want to side with Sparta or Athens. I don't really know which one to do. So yeah, I'm enjoying both of those a lot.
Are you playing as Cassandra or the guy nobody knows the name of?
Cassandra, of course.
Of course.
Yes. Which also, why did they take the woman off the art of the Cyberpunk box? That made me a little upset.
I don't know. It's they had her on there up until recently, and then marketing departments don't know what they're don't always know what they're doing.
I don't mean to cut in, but since you just said that, we should maybe mention that Star Wars thing that they showed at E3, not a linear fighting game. That is a Metroid game.
Yeah, they said that. So Jedi Fallen Over, as I kept calling it, Jedi Fallen Order. Is not a linear game. What they showed was a very Uncharted Nathan Drake style game. But yeah, go ahead, Aaron. Why don't you explain?
Yeah, it turns out that was all, I guess, like marketing's decision to show it off that way. And that game is actually like a pseudo open world, like Metroid style game where you get new force powers that unlock the ability to go back and get to new areas and stuff like that. It's nothing like what they showed.
Suddenly that game just sounds something
way better.
Is totally peaked.
Yeah.
And I totally called it. When I mentioned about how I thought the cuts in that fight looked really weird.
I don't see your. No, you're right. You did.
They came out and announced that they contractually could not have like limbs being cut off humanoid characters. So when I mentioned, I was like, I bet that's why that looks like that. Totally. But yeah, no, it's a Metroid game.
Suddenly it's really cool. Suddenly it's a third-person Metroid game that I'm starting to kind of dig the idea for.
Anyway,
that's good. Well, what have you been playing, Aaron?
I've been playing quite a lot of Final Fantasy XIV.
All right, in the lead up to was it Shadowbringers at the next one?
It's been longer than I thought it was since I've played that. So I have almost the entire game's worth of content, like from the last expansion till now, to catch up on. So I've just been plugging away at that, and I've got like a week left until the early access for the expansion happens. So yeah, just a lot of that. Like I don't even really read the quests. I'll go back and like watch the cutscenes afterward because there's a feature for that in the game. So I'm just like quest. Oh, it's a cutscene. Escape. quick cutscene. More quest because there's a lot. Because they put out like content, I think something like every 3 months, and I'm looking at like 2 years worth of content. So, so yeah, but I'm almost done with that, or caught up with that, and then just in time for the expansion, which then I will play a lot and probably review.
Excellent. Yeah, your stuff about Final Fantasy has been fantastic. So yeah, I'm looking forward to your thoughts on that. That was one game I was really hoping they would announce for Switch, because it feels like the perfect combination for us, but I'm
a little worried about this review for the new expansion because they've announced a lot of this is gonna get really deep into the weeds. They've announced a lot of class changes, and usually like I play White Mage for like running dungeons and raids and stuff like that. And the last 2 expansions, White Mage has gotten the short end of the stick. Like our changes just suck and nobody uses them because they're awful. So it's basically just reduced the class down to like 2 or 3 spells, which is fine because that makes it super easy to do my job in dungeons. But every other healing class now is getting the same treatment, and we're being left alone, and everybody's really pissed off about it. And so I'm worried that in my review, I'm going to be super smug.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, cool. Final Fantasy 14. Yeah, that game is. I think somebody posted. They'd love to just like WoW Classic is out there or it's coming. They'd love to see a Final Fantasy.
Somebody asked at the last live letter, which is like a Twitch stream type thing, talking about like all the new content, but they just or like whatever the next update is basically.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody asked a question to Yoshida whether or not like WoW Classic like 1.0 like pre-reborn like pre-A Realm Reborn servers would be coming, and he just face palmed and like laughed, and he was just like, "That a nightmare." So I don't think those are coming. And
yeah, sorry, that game changed quite a bit.
Well, it's just hilarious asking specifically him that, because he's the guy that rebuilt and saved the game, made it what it is from what it was, and asking him, "Oh, I really like the thing you're doing, but can we have the thing that you took over to fix? Because we want that
garbage
now."
You took over."
Nobody would want to play that. Like WoW Classic was fine. WoW Classic was a very addicting game and took the world by storm. Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 was not that, and nobody should ever be forced to play that version of this game again.
Nope. It'd be great to do to see a side-by-side comparison. I'm gonna have to look one up. Sam, what are you playing, my dude?
Not a whole lot as of late. I did get a chance to check out the Forza Horizon 4 Lego Champions expansion, I think it's called. I mean, it's fun, I guess. There's Lego pieces. You get to drive around as big old Lego cars. But I don't know. I don't know exactly what I was looking for in another expansion. Because I don't think I necessarily got it in Fortune Island, I think is the first DLC pack for this game. But this just feels a lot like just kind of like Lego set dressing. Like they're like, hey, like we made a new chunk of the map, but it feels a lot like the other map or the original map, just with a desert section kind of thrown in, which kind of, I mean, it's new for that game, but feels a little samey since they did Australia in the last game. So there was desert in there. I don't know. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's more of that game. It's more tracks. It's more area to drive around in. But I don't know. It just kind of feels like the expansion's a little bit just like, oh, look, we built a whole city made of Lego. And like occasionally the blocks feel like they're not the same as like asphalt while you're driving on them. And of course you go over like a bumpy piece. It makes the rumbles. It's fun, but like, I don't know. If I didn't have the like season pass or whatever it was that gave me all the DLCs, I don't know that I'd necessarily be looking to purchase it.
Sure.
And then other than that, I honestly don't.
But it has those Lego cars though, at least like the Lego Speed Champion vehicle.
Oh yeah. Oh, the Lego McLaren.
I'm almost more hyped about that than anything else.
Yeah, it just feels like the last game in Horizon 3, they their last expansion was Hot Wheels. And Hot Wheels added a whole bunch of different like terrain to that game since it just added like Hot Wheels track. So they were like kind of forced to make new sort of like areas to drive and stuff. And that, it just feels kind of samey environment wise, just with some Lego, like, oh, there's a Lego UFO here, which is cool. Again, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, but like, I could have just watched a video of somebody driving around. Sure. If that's really what I wanted to see from it. And again, I love the game, so I'm going to continue playing it. But I just don't know. Unless you're a fan of Lego, I'm not sure that would be something that you need for that game.
Okay.
And then I've been like trying a bunch of mobile games because I find myself in a lot of places where I cannot be around gaming hardware recently, but I have like, let's say 20 minutes to do absolutely nothing.
This is where you could use streaming.
Exactly. And a big hard, man, do I hate cell phone games. I think what that came out. It's like, it's always like, oh, these are top recommended games for you. And I'm like, cool, I'll download like 10 of them. And just try them all out, and I'll install 8 of them after the first 30 seconds because they either are full with ads and don't run very well, or just aren't fun. And then you'll keep 2 for a day, and then you're like, nah, I see where this is going, delete. And then, I don't know. I still, once again, I know Konami doesn't make video games anymore, even though they're apparently making a TurboGrafx mini console, because that's what we need. But I still do enjoy their Puzzle Classic.
Yeah.
That's still the best mobile game that's ever come out. Fight me, at me, whatever. I'm private.
Hashtag smash.
Yeah, I also discovered that, hey, do you know that you can go right now onto the Google Play Store and download a Super Nintendo emulator that is like ad-free and runs perfectly fine, and touch controls suck, but they're still better than most mobile games. So, yeah, so go ahead and do that if you have a phone that was built in the last 5 years. And Super Nintendo games are, well, I mean, if you own the game, get yourself a ROM of that game and play it. Super Nintendo games are like 15 KB big. They're not very
tiny.
Worried about space. Yeah.
I have a couple Android phones that I have done nothing with. I think we got them with our when we switched over to a different carrier. They gave us these two really crappy phones, and I bought them and did not use them after the first hour we left the place. We were switching our phones back to the iPhone. So yeah, there we go. I got my my portable Super NES emulator.
If you are one of the people that owns every game ever released for the Super Nintendo, you probably own a phone that can store the ROMs of those games. So just go ahead and dump all of those games, and then you can have every Super Nintendo game on your phone.
The entire of the European and Japanese collection, probably the Game Link.
Okay.
I will also say, for those that really want to get into the weeds with the newer phone, technically there is a working Dolphin emulator.
Wow.
And all I can say is Wind Waker doesn't run that bad. So do with what you will of that information. And maybe go do that, and don't just download the top 10 games. I will, however, say I downloaded today but haven't tried it, Auto Chess. So,
yes.
I'll have to see what the hotness is on that.
Yeah, by the way, I've probably put 50 hours into various types of auto chess over the last week.
Oh, so there you go.
Auto chess?
Yeah.
Also, just as an aside to that, you remember, like, let's say a month ago when everybody was like, "Whew, that dude's nuts that he didn't partner with Valve to make that game." And like at the time, I was probably like, "Yeah, that was probably a bad call," and I didn't even think about it. And then when they're like, "Look, auto chess," I was like, "Got him!" Like,
got him.
My favorite part of that, he was like, "No, I don't want to work for Valve," and they were like, "That's cool. We'll cross promote." And he was like, "Yeah, that sounds all right." And then like a week, like into E3, like a week later at E3, he's like, "Oh, by the way, it's coming out on the Epic Game Store." It's like, ooh, you really didn't want to work with that. Yeah. So Auto Chess is it's a mod for Dota 2, where 8 players are on a map divided into what essentially look like chessboards, and every round you're given a list of 5. Sometimes same, but usually 5 random characters from the game, which have their own abilities and can have like essentially power-ups depending on how many of these like synergistic units are on the field at one time. And your goal is to build a team that takes on occasionally just like mobs from the game, but usually the teams of the other 8 players one at a time, chosen randomly, and then it plays itself. Like you build the team and then the round starts and then you don't touch it. So it was a mod, and it got crazy popular. And then the guy who made it got an offer from Valve to work with them to make it official the same way they did with Dota 2. And he said no. And then he released a mobile version, I guess with Valve's blessing. So you can play that on iPhone and Android. And is coming out with a PC version. And then at the same time, Dota or Valve has released Dota Underlords, which I think until the end of this week is locked to people who own the Dota 2 Battle Pass, but is a standalone version of Auto Chess in the Dota client. and by all accounts plays exceptionally well and feels very good. And League of Legends is doing their own version, and that should be out within the next month, I think, or less. So
it's funny how this is it's a League of Legends auto chess is a mod of League of Legends which itself is a mod of something else, which itself is a mod. It's like this long string of mods has become like the new hotness every time.
Well, it's interesting because like the MOBA genre, like Dota and League of Legends and stuff like that, started as a mod of Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so now here's this new thing that everybody's like, oh, this is awesome. And it's like, is it going to be the new one of those? And I don't really think it has the legs to be one of those, but it's very fun to play. So
super pumped for the remastered Warcraft 3.
Oh God, yeah.
It looks really pretty. Those campaigns are still some of my favorites.
I love me the Warcraft series 1, 2, and 3. They were so fun to play.
So good.
I still have I have StarCraft 1 loaded up on my MacBook, but the Warcraft games, there's just some magic in those games.
Yeah.
Love. That was when Blizzard was doing CGI 90s and early 2000s. Everyone was blown away by what they were pulling out. That was head and shoulders better than what Square was doing with the Final Fantasy CGI. So.
When that first World of Warcraft trailer came out, I was like, oh my God.
Oh God, yeah.
Game.
I have been playing Cadence of Hyrule, which is the Crypt of the Necrodancer mod, the Hyrule mod. And holy shit, that's like a full Zelda game, basically. And I wasn't quite sure what to think when they first announced it. I thought, okay, it's just gonna be Crypt of the Necrodancer with like some Zelda visuals on it, but they really made a whole Zelda game, and it's awesome. So good. The music is great because it's classic Zelda. The characters are fantastic. The way it's my first time playing any of the games in the series, and I've totally fallen in love with it. I downloaded it today and already put some good chunk of time into it. And
can you still play it with a DDR pad? Like, is it relevant to the music still, or is it different?
Apparently you can. Apparently somebody posted about it today that it
awesome.
It is a thing. So yeah, I'm call me a fan, call me a believer now. But I think I've got I've got this game under my skin. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, Cadence of Hyrule is so good. It's the perfect game right now in the lead up to the summer, and I think could be one of those that I play a lot over the summer because the nature of the game is like this weird, infinitely replayable thing because it's not just playing a Zelda overworld game, but there's like some. You gotta stay to the beat. So how can you get better at staying at the beat? And can you want to replay sections that you were, first going through? So yeah, it's so good, so good. Conversely,
is it based on original music like Necrodancer, or is it based on like Zelda songs?
It's based on original versions of Zelda songs. So it's like you'll have like a rock version of the overworld theme that you're playing against. You have like dungeon, like they're all versions of the Zelda music, but they're like you can pick it out. That this is like the Zelda overworld theme, but then at the same time, it's got its own really cool and fresh take on it. So it's not like it's a copy, drag and drop of the Zelda music. It's actually redone, reorchestrated, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's so good. Right. Conversely,
let's bust out the Hyrule Historia. Let's figure out where this goes.
I was gonna say, where does this fall?
Where does it fit into the complicated timeline that is Zelda?
I've also been playing for the very first time. I was playing Night Trap. I figured it was on sale during all these E3 sales that all three major platforms are hosting.
The FMV game?
What's that?
The FMV game?
FMV game. I'm like, let me give this a shot. I think it was like from $10, it was down to like $6 or something.
What is FMV?
Full motion video. It's when you see like real people in a video game.
Oh god, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a whole like. I think Justin McElroy was trying to collect every FMV game that he could come that for time there, but it's not great. It's ungood. Is that maybe that's a better way to say it?
Ungood.
It's ungood. Boy, the acting's. I mean, yeah, obviously it's 30 years later. The acting's so cheesy. The situations, and I probably put about 25 minutes into it, but just the whole idea of, and I played it now. I played it in handheld mode. Yeah, it's visually not. It's kind of difficult to figure out what's going on, and I'm not looking. I think I got it now just to say I've played Night Trap, and I can delete it off my Switch now.
There you go. I thought you were going to say that you played it for 25 hours, and I was like, that is some dedication for somebody that is like
longer than like an hour and a half, maybe. So yeah, that's what I've been playing. But let's cover news super quick. I'm glad you actually broke news live on the show, Aaron. So that's good.
Hey, thanks.
You're welcome. I'm looking at some stuff here. Dr. Mario World, which is the mobile version of Dr. Mario that Nintendo's pushing out. It's got a release date of July 10th, 2019. So that is the Dr. Mario game that has a good chance of making some decent coin for Nintendo because it's very Candy Crushified. So look out for that, July 10th.
Not available in Belgium.
Not available in Belgium. Harry Potter Wizards Unite releases later this week. So that's the Pokemon Go Harry Potter game that will be, it's due on this Friday, the 21st of June. Expect that to draw, if it's half as good as Pokemon Go, not that Pokemon Go is great or anything, but if it's half as intriguing as Pokemon Go, expect to see a whole slew of folks out and about.
And that's different to the one where you have to pay money to not die, right?
Yeah, that's the that's like a really bad RPG one. Yeah, that they have on. No, this is the Pokemon Go-ish game that's releasing. So, yeah, it's. By the way, can you guys believe it's been 3 years since Pokemon Go released, and people are still addicted to that game?
That game predates the Switch somehow. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah. That is kind of nuts.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. That's kind of all. I'm looking through anything that I wrote over the last week. I'm not seeing any major stuff. Yeah, no, I think that's it. That's it's a light week. It's post E3 week, so there's not a lot of stuff going on. Yeah. Which is kind of good. Lets us recover a little bit from all the hustle and bustle and start planning our games. I'm gonna put a list together. I'll put a Google Doc together for everybody on Earth to show kind of what's coming, what are the big games coming out the rest of this year and some of the exclusives and stuff. And then what's been announced for 2020, because like I think we mentioned it last week, March and April and May of 2020 are going to be absolutely brutal on our wallets. They may be the most hectic 3-month span of giant games that I can remember, bigger than this year, bigger than last year.
I added everything, and I was kind of just adding games into my Amazon cart as like the link popped up on Twitch, not to purchase it or pre-order it, but just to like, that way I can like write it down later on and see what the release date is. Yeah, it was over $1,000, and I was like, holy moly, is this how much I'm going to spend this year on video games?
And you don't even have a Switch yet.
I know, and that's going to add on to it because we have to get one now. We have a little whiteboard, and we're putting like money towards it each page.
Yeah, we got an extra $1.
You have to be responsible because it's a luxury, but it's happening.
So true. With that, anything else? Anybody got anything else, or can we shut this down for the day? I think we're good. We had a good show. Good, concise show. Tagged in at almost an hour exactly, so that's good.
Was there any other E3 stuff that anybody wanted to mention before we get out of here?
I did post a little bit of the just all the indie games that were coming out. I did a little indie gems of E3 2019 post. Take a look at that because there were some fantastic indies at E3. I think something that I will say this: a lot of folks talking about it. E3 was completely empty this year on the show floor because Microsoft last year at least had Mixer on the show floor. This year didn't even have Mixer, or just pulled everything and put it into their own theater, which is sort of in that same complex. I mean, it's in the LA Live area. It's just no longer in E3 proper, and People mentioned how it was completely empty walking through there. I mean, Katie, you remember in the heyday of the 2013, 2012, 2014 timeframe when it was like shoulder to shoulder. You couldn't make your way through. Everybody was firing on all cylinders. Not so this year.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And it's not just that Sony was out, because Sony being out, yeah, it's a big thing, but so many companies. Activision wasn't there. EA obviously isn't there. Microsoft wasn't
and their
there.
booth presence is massive.
Yeah, yep. Both of those companies have ginormous. I mean, it let Nintendo's booth sort of spill over a little bit as well, but I think somebody brought up a really good point in that the ESA, which runs E3, holds one conference, one event per year, really, and it's this one. And so that's why they charge so much money for floor space, because that's the only thing that they have bringing in money, and that is kind of drawing people away from the publishers and stuff, away from actually hosting stuff there, because it costs a lot of money. So I'm all for helping. I'm all for E3 moving around, or a second show taking place. Maybe a show that is more fan focused, or is more, maybe it's more hardcore industry focused. I mean, something there, but I think having a secondary show that that people can start to look forward to. I know we're already in an area of way too many conferences already, but maybe this is something that the ESA could potentially look into. Maybe
and if the ESA does it too, then it's different than PAX, because there are like 500 PAXs. Yeah,
there's PAXs nonstop, and but the ESA is a big one for gaming. I mean, this is the end of the time frame where games are announced, because everybody's starting to plan for posting stuff for the rest of the year. But I could see an E3 or some type of big conference take place in like February, which could actually end up being a really good time frame, because that's when companies are, E3 was great for the retailers, and they used to send folks to the show, and the console makers and publishers would meet with folks then to get the information out. Well, as we know, obviously information marketing has changed. A lot of stuff has changed. You got to get the time slots buy-in earlier now, and February. I think Sony does a lot of their retailer stuff with GameStop and other companies in like February. And so, maybe you push something like this back, where you have a retailer specific show in a smaller show in February. I mean, that could be something that's that may be a little bit more beneficial, because then at least that helps you start to set things up, set the companies up and the retailers up for the rest of the year. So,
definitely.
All right, I don't have anything else from E3. I haven't looked at. There's so many good games. So many good games.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, another cool thing that Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga game is actually an over-the-shoulder kind of third-person game. So it's different than the out Lego games. Like, they're actually turning this into a real quote-unquote game. So yeah, there we go. That's something.
That's enticing.
That's it. That's all I got. Anybody else?
This was the E3 that sort of made me kind of really want to get a VR set up.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Also, getting back into Watch Dogs. After Watch Dogs, I was like, never again. And then Legion kind of has me intrigued with the characterization in it. Yeah. So
I agree. I'm hoping it doesn't end up being like too much of a gimmick, I guess. But I haven't played a Watch Dogs game yet. It seems like it could be right up my alley. I'll take the look. I will say one thing that we didn't mention this episode: Breath of the Wild 2.
Yes.
That was a surprising shock, and I'm all for that. Something darker and grittier. When do you guys think that that's going to release? I'm going to throw this out there. Way early E3 2020 prediction.
2021 late.
Okay. Holiday 2021. Aaron, when do you think Breath of the Wild 2 will release?
I think 2020.
You think 2020?
I think Breath of the Wild was so wildly popular that maybe they weren't even.
Got it. Breath of the Wild popular.
Yeah, like they weren't even like. It felt to me like Nintendo was surprised at how popular that game was, especially with like the radical new way they did a Zelda game. That they might want to get one out faster than they normally would. I think it comes out in 2020, and I think it comes out before the next 3D Mario.
Okay. What about you, Sam?
I don't know. I would probably say like the March space for 2021.
Okay.
Like waiting for a holiday would be a little bit too much. Plus, we don't know like how long it's been in development. Like, did they start after the DLC came out, or did they start like in concurrency with that DLC? So,
sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in line with Aaron, and I'm going to agree with him because if it comes out in holiday 2020, then that's 3.5 years after Breath of the Wild, the original, came out. Which it looks like they're reusing the same engine, potentially reusing some character assets. I think at first I thought, it'll be 2021, but then I'm leaning more towards 2020, and I think that could be their big holiday release. And could you imagine a Zelda game, a brand new big Zelda game going up against the launch of the PS5 and the Xbox 2 and all that stuff? I mean, it's seems like yet another crazy. I mean, 2020 is going to be just bonkers for us. So
I'm not forgetting anything. There hasn't been a 3D Mario game since Breath of the Wild, right?
Since Odyssey, no.
Oh, Odyssey, right? That came out.
Odyssey came out that same year. Yeah.
The same year. Okay, yeah.
I would not be surprised if at E3 next year they show Breath of the Wild 2 and a brand new Mario 3D game. That could the big Mario games usually aren't too far apart from each other. I will let me rephrase that. They weren't in on the Wii because Super Mario Galaxy 2 came out 2 years after the original Mario Galaxy. But then we didn't get anything till Mario 3D World on the Wii U, and we didn't get anything after that for like 5 years till it came out on Switch. So maybe an Odyssey 2 with all new worlds. That could be kind of interesting. Smash Brothers worlds, but
well, the question is, where was Prime supposed to be in there? Like,
I just saw a note that they're now hiring an art director for Metroid Prime 4.
Because I would think if they were planning for that game to either release this year or next year, like, did they move something up in their strategy to like replace it? I
kind of wonder if Zelda is that move, if that's replacing Prime, and then we get Prime in like March or April of 2021.
Yeah. But
we'll see. It's a long ways off. We'll have to do some crazy predictions because there's all the consoles have so much stuff that are unknown. I think the only console that we know enough of going forward might actually be Xbox. We seem to have more understanding of games and services for that for the next Xbox than we do anything else. So, but anyways, let's pack it up. Let's call it a night. It's been a great conversation. Really fantastic talking with all y'all again. We did it. We made it through. We powered through. You can find us at sidequesting.com. Go to YouTube, mash that like button, whatever. I don't know, subscribe, whatever the heck. On YouTube, SideQuesting TV, on Twitch. And you can find us individually. I'm at Dolly Dimovsky. Katie, where can we find you?
I am at InvisiB.
At InvisiB. And you still do the your great blog as well?
Yes, my blog, Process of Thoughts.
Yes, check it out. Process of Thoughts, always good. Sam, you're nowhere to be found. That's why you have a black screen right now, anyway.
No, I'm hidden. Is it? I've been wondering why that's been a black screen the whole time. Isn't that usually like my Google avatar?
Yep.
Huh. Weird. Gonna have to figure that out.
Did you Elon Musk yourself? Is that what's going on here?
Oh my god! Oh, that Elon Musk.
This is a Sam surprise today.
Yeah.
Yes. No. You can't currently find me anywhere on the internet other than SideQuesting. Again, I'm the exclusive content that you come here for.
That's right.
Weekly. So I get to preach at you sometimes about what I think about business of video games, and then also why movement's cool in video games. So if you want to hear that, you have to listen to it here because there's literally nowhere else.
Excellent. Aaron, where can we find you?
Find me on Twitch and Twitter at Scratty Bones.
There you go.
I haven't decided yet, but I think I might be streaming Final Fantasy XIV once the expansion comes out. And I might be trying to, because I tend to get involved in like races. When the expansion comes out, like race to the new level cap. And I'm usually in the first expansion, I was the first white mage to hit level 60, and then I was almost gonna do it in the last expansion, but part of the game was broken, and everybody got trapped, and then some people were lucky and managed to get past it, and I was not one of them, so I got beaten. But they have very specifically come out and said that they're adding ways to get around that and like deal with like the like server queues and stuff like that. So I think I'm gonna maybe stream that.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. As for me, this is the last time I'm streaming from this. We are moving out. So goodbye, room. Goodbye, where side questing has been the home location for side questing for 10 plus years. We are retiring this home base, and we're going to be moving into a blimp. So, yeah, that'll be fun. So I'll be essentially recording from my parents' basement, like every good gamer does, for the next couple months or so. So you'll be seeing a very interesting scenery on these live shows. But then when we get into the new home, things will be quieting down on my end. But with that, you can find us at sidequesting.com, as I mentioned. We'll find you on the internet. We'll find you in your dreams, not your nightmares.
In your dreams.
See everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm quite literally in a raid right now in Final Fantasy XIV.
Are you